Don't tell Jamie, but I stole one of his rose teas. Shh. It's a secret between me and you. Hiya folks, for those that don't know me, my name is Gaz. I am the husband and best friend of Multiplicity and Me. Hopefully by now some of you should know who I am, but if not, hello and welcome. So I'm here today to talk about my experiences with creating relationships with Jess and the Alters. So just to give you a bit of perspective on it and hopefully see if it could shed some light on how to help others that are in a similar position to what I am. First thing I'm going to answer is, how did I find out? While me and Jess were friends, I started to develop some really sort of like heavy feelings for her. I mean, to be fair, considered now we have a house together, we're married, and we have a baby, and not to mention dogs and cats and guinea pigs. I mean, yeah, it says that, you know, I obviously was absolutely infatuated with her. I really did. So when Jess explained to me, she said, well, no, look, you know, you might not like me in a relationship, you know, you might not like who I really am. So I asked her to elaborate on that. I was like, well, you know, explain to me so I can understand better. You know, I'm not going to learn if I don't get told anything. So she sat me down and was like, well, look, there's people living in my head. And rather than just going, oh my God, you're a crazy person, and bolting out the room and never seeing her again, I was like, okay, well, you know, tell me what it is. And this was before, you know, Jess knew about the name of the condition, exactly what it was or anything else. You know, she was still a teenager at this point. So we both went through that journey together and did a lot of learning about what the condition was. So she explained to me that there were people living inside of her head and what the situation was and their names and stuff. And I was just like, okay, cool. So when do I get to meet them? And that sort of, yeah, it just transpired from then. So the next question I have is, are there any signs? You bastard. So the next question I have is, were there any signs that I now recognise? Yeah, really, it's really simple stuff. Slight vocal changes. Now that I'm aware of how good Jake's acting ability was as acting as Jess and everything else, I can now understand when he was out, when Jamie was out, or anyone else. You know, now due to the fact that the accent changed slightly, it's not as prominent or forward, but if one of the boys is fronting and they try to act like Jess, there are significant differences with the way that they talk. It's quite funny, actually. So the next question is, how did I first meet each alter? That one's a pretty difficult one to actually get into because I can't remember, if I'm completely honest. It's a difficult one. I can tell you when I met Jess, but each of the boys is difficult because as time's gone on, you know, we spent 11 years together now, and the memory does become a bit fuzzy. I can remember meeting Jamie. Can't remember the exact circumstances leading to it, but we were... It's quite funny, actually. I do remember a few things. And we were in there chilling out and everything else, and I met Jamie, and we snogged. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that one coming. If you did, you have a keen eye. From what I remember about meeting Ed, we were sat on bed, and we were just talking, talking about how I wanted to meet Ed. We had the lights off, and we had, Ed had sort of come out, so I was trying to envision him like in darkness, sort of imagine what he looked like and everything else, and yeah, it worked out really well. And the relationship just sort of went from there with both of them. It was amazing. I can't remember for the life of me how I first met Jake or Ollie. That's the annoying thing, is that in my head I can't remember. I think Ollie may have been at my house. I have no idea. And the same thing with Jake. I wish I could remember this, honestly. I can remember Jess obviously really vividly, but I can't remember meeting Jake or Ollie. I feel terrible. I'm hoping that if Jake is editing this, which he should be, that he can like put in like a little like story on somewhere on the screen or something to overlay if he can remember at all. So the next thing I'm going to answer is sort of important things about creating relationships with each alter. So like do's and don'ts. I would honestly say to treat them as an individual person unless they specify otherwise. Essentially, just imagine you're meeting an important person for the first time, because that's what you are doing. You're meeting someone that is opening themselves up for you, you know, that wants to meet you. That's the biggest thing, is just be a nice person. I don't know how I can elaborate on that anymore. Don't be an arsehole, just be a nice, open person. Respect their boundaries as well. That's a big one. In regards to sort of creating relationships with them, be open, be a nice person. That's the first and foremost. Be understanding and be willing to give time. You have alters that will not trust you because of what may have happened. That's the one thing you've got to understand. Same as if you meet a little, they might be dead scared of actually meeting a grown person. You know, first time I met little Jake, that was a big thing. It took a lot of effort to prove that I was a trustworthy person that wouldn't cause him any harm. This is one of the big things that you've got to do. It's not a light thing. It does take dedication and effort. So if you're not willing to put the effort in to meet each alter and treat, you know, the body and the whole system as individual people, it's not going to work. Another one is find out what they're interested in and do it. Okay, so that's it's like making new friends, because that's what you are doing. You're making a new family and making new friends. Be willing to find out what their interests are, what they're not interested in, what they like doing, and do those things with them. Create a bond with them. Try and do what you can. No one's expecting you to be able to, you know, turn water into wine in a scenario like that. You can't perform miracles, but that's just the nature of it. They're their own individual people with their own unique personalities, and that's the one thing you've got to understand. But I think, like, so summarizing it down is the do's. Learn who each alter is. Give them your time. Learn what they like. Play with what they like. You know, play on the strengths of it. If they enjoy going out for food, take them out for food if you can afford it, and just sort of find out what their interests are and go with it. Treat them as their own person, but have a willingness to want to learn about each of them. I would say the don'ts. Don't expect every one of them to love you instantly. Don't expect them all to sleep with you. Don't be an arsehole. So the next question I've received is, how do you react to any new fragments or parts that may pop up? The thing with the condition is it's a journey that you don't know which way you're going down. You're on a cross-country trip and you have no map. You're literally just going down roads as and when you see fit, and you don't know what's going to be around the next corner. Just go into it with an open mind. If there's a accent that you don't recognise, if there's a style change in clothing, if there's a posture or a mannerism change that you don't immediately recognise as being from one of the alters that you've known for a long time, bring it up gently and question it, and just go, hey, how are you doing? Is this anyone that I've met before? You've obviously got to adapt that to how you see fit and your situation. So, but again, you've just got to have patience and time. You might meet someone who might be around for the rest of their life. So the last question I have is, were there or are there any challenges in creating and maintaining different relationships with different alters? I mean, simple answer is yes. I think a big difficulty that I had when I was younger was accepting having no. I understood with Ollie, because Ollie's, you know, he's a teenager and everybody was a kid. But with Jake, for example, Jake's a straight man, and it took a little bit of getting used to from my part, of getting used to not having any romantic contact with Jess when Jake was out or near or anything. That did take some getting used to. You know, I'm willing to admit that and say that, you know, for a little while I did find that difficult, because it was a big shock. You know, going from being in regular relationships to being in such a unique one, it is a big paradigm shift. It's not just a straight path. Again, cross-country trip. See, this is just me making another analogy like Jess's car trip one when you're passengers with the whole Coke-on thing. But that's what it is. You've got to be willing to take deviations and detours and stuff, and don't get frustrated with it. Just get used to it and accept it, because that's a big part of this, is acceptance and learning. And don't be scared to make mistakes. No one's perfect. I'm certainly not bloody perfect. Just be willing to accept change, be willing to learn, and be willing to want to know more. You know, I've learned a lot more about mental health in general from being with Jess the last decade than I would have on my own otherwise, guaranteed. You know, I've learned to accept my own mental health in a lot of ways. All I can say is just be willing to accept change. Be a nice person, don't be a jackass. And just be happy and willing to learn. I think that's a big thing to take away from this. And just understand every single person is unique and individual. You can't expect every single person to be the same or the way that you want them to be. They're their own person. Just accept them for who they are. So I've been talking about my experiences with maintaining and creating relationships with my wife and alters. If it's helped you, fantastic. If you do have any more questions that you would like to ask, please leave it in the comments below. I do read as much as I can, pretty much every single comment on each video as best as I can. Jess does it as well, so if you have anything you'd like me to specifically answer, just leave it down in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like, don't forget to favourite the video if that's still a thing, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're already not. Thank you all very much. I've been Gaz, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you.